We are back with another rebuild, and today we are taking our talents to Greece. And no, we are not rebuilding Panathinaikos, we are not rebuilding Olympiacos. Today, we are sustaining the reign of AEK Athens. Now, AEK did win the Greek Super League this season. They did finally get the job done. Again, on the last two games of the season, Panathinaikos have been leading pretty much the entire way. We are going to dive in and try and replicate that in Season 1 and then go beyond for the final 4 seasons of this rebuild. If we dive in, this is how AEK Athens are looking. And as you can see, they are a 12-time winner. And in real life, it's actually a 13-time winner of the Greek Super League. They did win it this year. The last time before that was 2018. And then before that, it was a long wait back into 1994. So the team looks pretty good. Our goals and objectives are basically to establish the team right at the top of Greek football, but we're also going to try and see what we can do on the European stage. Obviously, the top team in Greece qualifies for the Champions League qualifying, so we are going to need to try and reclaim that. If we take a look at the team and the tactic that we are going to be running today, we are going to be running GYR's Superman, which looks a little bit like this. It is a 3 at the back, 2 wide centre-backs and a libero, 2 complete wing-backs on either side, a volante and a roaming playmaker in the middle, 2 shadow strikers and a advanced forward. We've not actually tested this one a bunch, so it will be really interesting for you guys to see how this one actually does over a 5-year span. If we quick pick this one without restriction, this is our best 11 as things stand going into season number 1. Not a huge abundance of names that people will recognize. The one that I actually only recognize is this guy, Vida, the Croatian defender. Greece is kind of seen as a little bit of a retirement home for most people. So it's going to be interesting to see who we can actually get here. Jibril Sidibe is another player that I recognize, obviously former Everton player. But we'll see what we can do. We'll see what we can put together throughout the course of this 5 years. If we go into the competitions tab, obviously we do have the Greek Super League and we do have the Greek Cup as well. The board expectation is to reach the quarterfinals of the Cup and to finish in the top 3 places of the league. Obviously the league does split. There is a championship group and a relegation group. We were hoping to be in the top there. Obviously you can see Olympiacos have won the last 3 seasons. As I've mentioned, AEK have won the title in real life, so let's see if we can equal that. Obviously Panathinaikos have been a bit of a ways away for a while, so maybe if you like the Greek rebuild, let me know down in the description, down in the comment section, if you want to see me take on the challenge of someone like a Panathinaikos. But we are going over into these competitions. If we have a look at our season preview for the league championship, of course, Olympiacos are the favourites to get the title. They are 4-6 on to win the league. We are 9-2 to get the job done. Let's simulate through season number 1 and see if we can claim that title like AEK did in real life. And the answer, yes, we did. We did manage to win the title. We got 81 points. AEK actually got 83 in real life. So we're running similar sort of parallels. We topped the league. Olympiacos also qualify for the Champions League. Panathinaikos are a little bit of a ways back. They are then 8 points behind Olympiacos, who qualify for the Europa League, and we also have 2 teams that qualified for the Conference League as well out of Greece. We got to the quarterfinals of the Cup, where ultimately we were bested by Olympiacos. They have sacked their manager since and are looking for a new manager because they didn't win the league, basically. If we go onto the home screen, you can kind of see Levi Garcia was our best player. 35 goals for him. 7.54 average rating, and he also got 9 player of the match awards. Now, as you can see, he is quite fast. 16 pace, 17 acceleration on the guy, and he had a fantastic season. 35 goals and 4 assists in all competitions for Levi. So we've done really well here. Obviously, we do qualify then for the Champions League next season. Well, the Champions League qualifying. So if we go and have a look at our finances for the next season, we are in a little bit of debt, £1.4 million worth of debt here, which is all our net debt, which hopefully over the course of a couple of seasons in the Premier League, fingers crossed, in the Champions League, there we go, we can actually get rid of all of this debt. In terms of our transfer budget for season number 2, we've got just shy of £3 million, and our wage budget has increased by about 100k, which is absolutely huge. Let's go and see who we can bring in for season number 2. So guys, transfer update for season number 2, and we are here, and we've spent a little bit of money, but we've actually been able to recoup a decent amount of cash as well. First of all, let's talk about the outgoings. Steven Zuber has gone to Toulouse for 450k. Obviously, this tactic doesn't have wingers, so he is a player who needs to be moved on. Another one in terms of players, Paulo Fernandes has gone to St. Pauli over in Germany. Again, another winger. This tactic does not have wingers, so he has gone over to Germany for £1 million. And Jibril Sidibe, one of the players that I had heard of, he's now gone as well. He has gone over to Strasbourg for £2 million, £3.5 million in, but we have spent some money on some players. So let's talk about those on the left-hand side of the screen. Then Sharon Dor, a fan favourite. I love Sharon Dor. If you've not seen my Versailles save, FC Versailles, on this channel or on twitch.tv/HookGamingUK, this is the club legend with FC Versailles, is Sharon Dor. He always gets released by Benfica, and he's here on a free transfer, as is this man, Giovanni Fabian. He comes in as well on another free transfer. Looks like a good little well-rounded player, 6'1", 20 years of age, comes in on a free transfer from Inter Milan. Then the third and final free transfer, at the very least, Inaki Peña comes in from Barcelona. Now, again, released a lot in FM this time around. Looks very good. A massive improvement for us at goalkeeper. He is now a 4-star sweeper keeper. Now let's talk about the players that we have spent some money on, shall we? Enrico Del Prato comes in to be our starting choice right back. He looks very good. He's come in from Parma, supremely well-rounded, double-digit attributes all across the field, and he looks like a very nice improvement, and the fact that he can probably play in an abundance of positions as well. We managed to pick him up from Parma for £2.5 million. Obviously, it looks like they stayed in Serie B. Yes, they did. They did stay in Serie B, so they didn't get promoted, so that's why we were able to pick him up so cheap. And Facundo Farias comes in as our new central attacking midfielder, comes in as a shadow striker. Looks like a fantastic player. 16 dribbling for someone on the ball is going to be great. Nice off the ball, nice flair, nice technique as well. Farias is going to be able to unlock these defenses in some of these key areas. He came in from Argentina for £3 million. Actually had a fantastic season last year, 17 goals and 6 assists, 7.7 average rating. So yes, we will have a piece of that action. So if we quick pick without restriction our best 11, this is how the team is looking for this season. So obviously Peña comes in as a new goalkeeper for us, and then we've got a couple of options. Del Prato is actually going to be our right-sided centre-back. He's got the attributes to do it, and he can play as a complete wing-back, so a very good sign in there to bring in a couple options. And then we've got a couple more depth options on the bench. You can see several players here are a little bit unhappy, and they want a few updated contracts, but we'll have to see how we can do with those. But I'm really happy with this team as things are. Obviously, we had to get rid of a couple players who don't play in this particular tactic, namely the wide players, so they have gone, and I'm happy with how we are looking. If we take a look at the competitions tab, ladies and gents, this is what we have. Obviously, we've already had a friendly cup. Nobody cares, and we have qualified for the Champions League. I'll talk about that in just a second. Obviously, we do have the Cup, the Greek Cup. The board expectation is to reach the semi-final of that and to finish in the top 3 places in the league. So if we have a look at the league, the season preview has said we are second favourites to win the title, 3-1 odds. Farias and Garcia are listed as good players for us in the Media Dream 11 alongside the keeper Peña, and then most of the rest of it is Olympiacos. So that's going to be interesting to see if we can back up our claims and kind of hold the mantle of the best team in Greece. Now, I mentioned the Champions League. We obviously had to qualify for the Champions League. We've got that done because it kind of consisted in between now, or the pre-season sort of element, and before the Super League actually started. So let's talk about it here. We've qualified for the Champions League proper. We've taken out Shamrock Rovers in the third qualifying path, and then we took out Ludogorets in the playoffs. So we beat Ludogorets, we beat Shamrock Rovers, comfortable, didn't really concede. We conceded 1 goal in 4 games, which is brilliant for this tactic, and it's good to see. So we will be playing Champions League football. The groups have already been drawn, and as you can see, this is going to be a tough one. PSG, Barcelona, Rangers. Let's get through the season and see if we can get out of this. I'm going to call it the group of death. So guys, Season 2 was a massive improvement on last season, and no, we did not get out of the group of death, but we did not finish in stone dead last. On the screen right now is the competitions tab, and you can see we have picked up a league and cup double, which is fantastic to see. We will get into that cup final very shortly. Let's talk Champions League. You can see on your screen we did finish in third. We picked up 4 points actually. We managed to beat Rangers at home. We drew away at the Nou Camp to pick up our 4 points. Rangers only got the 1 victory at home against us, so they finished bottom of the league, which meant we dropped into the Europa League, where we got through to the round of 16, where we got knocked out by Villarreal. It looks like the Spanish sides love to win in the Europa League. They managed to beat us 3-2 on aggregate, 2-1 on the second leg. Nicholas Jackson, who I believe has gone to Chelsea in real life, who hasn't, looks like a good prospect alongside Jeremy Pino with the 2 goals for Villarreal. But the disparity in budgets is definitely going to be there, I would like to say. So let's talk about the Greek Cup. I'm not even going to try and say anything past Novibet because there is no point. We beat Panathinaikos in that final 3-1. Facundo Farias with the goal to open things, and then Sergio Araujo with the goal in the 93rd minute after they missed a penalty as well. It looks like he missed the penalty and followed it up, which is, you know, is what it is. But we managed to get a title and a good performance in the cup, which is rare for me at the moment. I seem to be struggling in these cup competitions. And then we win the league, absolutely annihilated everybody. Rather disappointing, one-sided competition, 85 points for us. It was basically done at the split anyway, so we've absolutely dominated things, as you would expect. Let's talk finances for next year. Obviously, we got to the latter stages of a European knockout competition, albeit the Europa League, and had a Champions League group stage, so we're good for money. We're really good for money. You can see that debt and that loan is all gone. We got a little bit of transfer debt, but that's not the end of the world. The overall balance of the club is now in the positive, 5.1 million there. We've got 9.5 million pounds in terms of transfer budget, and about 150k a week in wages that we can spend to improve this team even further to compete on a European stage. Let's get into season number 3, starting with that transfer update. So I do have to apologise. There was a transfer that I did miss in the January window last season, and it was this guy, Sebastian Vasilades is how I'm going to butcher this guy. His name comes in from Arminia Bielefeld in Germany. Was a good defensive midfielder, central midfielder for us. He came in last season for 4 million quid and played the back end of the season. Averaged almost to 7. It was a player that I did forget to mention. Now let's talk about the players that we brought in for this year. Obviously, you can see the outgoings, all on free transfers, all leaving. Didn't need to renew their contracts. Didn't really keep us at a standard that we wanted them to be at, especially we're trying to compete on a European stage here, don't you forget. We brought in Mohamed, as I'm never going to butcher this guy's name ever again. I've done it enough on stream. He comes in from Syria, as you would expect. He's quite well-rounded, can play in a lot of positions. Probably is that shadow striker in this particular instance. He's got a lot of attributes that you would like to see. High determination, perfectionist personality. You know he is going to improve. And he's only 3.2k, which is dirt cheap. But we have spent some money, though. We have spent some money. Leo Grimel comes in as a defender for us from Clermont. He is obviously well known for playing in the Bundesliga, I guess. No, maybe not. Played a season in the Bundesliga. Well known for playing in Austria. I really thought he played in the Bundesliga a lot longer than that. We picked him up from Clermont for 6.5 million. He's bounced around a lot. Germany, France, over to Greece. 4 countries in 4 years, but he's now going to be our star centre-back, I think. Looks like a very good player. 6'2", 23 years of age. He's still young, can still improve, and will get a name for himself playing in the Champions League versus playing in League. Then, Nelson Viper. He comes in. He is a monster, this guy. If you have not seen some of the rebuilds that I've done in Germany, he was in my Hertha Berlin rebuild, and he's back for another year. 6'4", 19 years of age at the time of recording this. He is a monster. High pace, high determination, high technical ability for someone so young as well, and he's a monster at 6'4". You love to see it. He comes in for 6.5 million pounds. He was out on loan last season, only got 9 in 29. Just let me put him up front in this tactic and watch this boy cook. And then the last one is another Greek player. I'm not going to butcher this guy's name. Well-rounded Greek player coming in from Sporting. Has played in the Greek League before. High pace as well. 17 pace, 16 acceleration. High work rate is exactly what we need in this central midfield. He's got 14 caps for the national team. So he will slot into these positions really, really nicely. If we quick pick without restriction, this is how we are looking, guys. Levi Garcia continues to be exceptional. However, with the arrival of Nelson Viper, he may have to move I'm not sure what we're going to do yet. This team is looking pretty stacked. I'm expecting a little bit of an improvement. We should maybe another wide centre-back, you know. Maybe another wide centre-back. We'll see. I'm expecting this team to dominate Greece just like it did last time. But if we can maybe get a better, more favourable draw in the Champions League, I would be absolutely buzzing for that this time around. If we get into the Champions League, we have the league phase, of course. It is season number 3. We'll talk about that in a second. The board expectation is to reach the semi-finals of the Cup. I would like to retain it, and the board expectation is to win the Super League. Obviously, we have won it for the past 2 seasons, so that will be the goal as well, to retain that. If we talk about the Champions League, obviously, we did have to qualify, as you would have seen. Second qualifying round, we beat this team, Tirana, who are from Albania, relatively comfortably. 4-0 at home, lost 2-1 away. Doesn't really matter. Got the job done at home. We then took on HJK, and then we took out Dynamo Kyiv as well. 2-2 in the home leg, and then we beat them 3-0 on the road. Fantastic. We get into the Champions League group stages, which is actually no longer the group stage, as it's season 3. It's the league stage. So we've got lots of fixtures. We get 8 Champions League fixtures against the team that I can never pronounce, so we will not talk about them. PSV, Barcelona, Tottenham. What do we think of Tottenham? Valencia, Red Star. We've also got Sevilla and Benfica as well. So some interesting ones, but some winnable ones in season number 3. Let's see if we can qualify for the Champions League knockouts with AEK Athens. Well. What a turbulent season this was. This is the competitions tab for season number 3. Olympiacos got their own back, ladies and gents. They finished on top of the Greek Super League with 85 points. We had 81 ourselves, and I'm going to put it all down to our run in the Champions League, which I'll talk about in a second. As you can see, we got to the quarterfinals, but we're ultimately knocked out by Arsenal, and we are runners-up in the Greek Cup. Nelson Viper was our unbelievable goal scorer, as I know he can be. 32 goals for him and 1 assist. What a stud this guy is. He's now wanted by Sheffield United, West Ham and Cologne. So we're going to have to maybe struggle to keep hold of him if England come calling. Runners-up in this Greek Cup final. Olympiacos, as I said, getting their own back this year. We had the League and Cup double last year. They get it this year. They beat us 2-0. In the final. Farias was sent off after the 4th minute, and then we get 2 goals for them. Our goalkeeper played pretty poorly as well, 5.8 average rating. We kind of flopped it a little bit this year. It's disappointing to see, but I'm putting it all down to the Champions League. I reckon if we'd have gone out in the league phase of the Champions League, we'd have won both the league and the cup. You can see towards the end of the season, our form's not great, and it's because of the Champions League. We lose to Arsenal in the Champions League, which sees us get knocked out. And then I've said this all along, the knockout stages of competitions are catastrophic for morale if you do not win them. We lose our next game, and then we go on a run of 3 draws in a row in the league, and that is our league form cost us right there. It is depressing to see. Let's talk Champions League, though, because I know that's what you guys love to see. This was our Champions League phase. We beat the team that I can never pronounce 2-0, beat PSV, lose to Barca, lose to Tottenham, lose to Valencia, beat Red Star, draw with Sevilla, lose to Benfica. Then we get into the knockout stages, ladies and gents, and we took out some big guns here. We took out Monaco. We lose 2-1 at home, beat them 2-0 in France. We then beat Napoli 4-3 at home. We lose 1-1 on the road, and Raspadori and Lobotka miss the penalties for Napoli to see AEK Athens go through into the Champions League quarter-finals, where we draw 0-0 with Arsenal at the Emirates and then lose 1-0 at home to a 95th minute header. Devastating. Absolutely devastating. We are inches away from a Champions League semi-final, and I really do think that really impacted the results in the league and in the cup because of the morale and how important that can be. Let's talk finances though, because we have money, ladies and gentlemen. We have 32 or 31 million pounds to spend, another 100k-ish in the wage budget. Our overall balance is flush. We are flush with cash. Let's go spend it for season number 4. I want that Champions League semi-final. Okay guys, so we're starting off with season number 4, and I have to say, I told you it would be a struggle to hold on to this man if England came coming. Nelson Viper is now a hammer. He is playing in the Premier League. We bought him for 6.5k. He had a season with us. He is now a West Ham player. They paid £14 million for him. So he is a goner, which means we had an absolute war chest to spend, basically. That happened really early doors, the 20th of June. And then we went out and were able to add a little bit more to it as well. With a few more player sales. Sotrit, I'm butchering it. He's gone as well. Another season, another player with us for a season. We paid 5 for him. We sold him to Brentford for 8 million. It's so difficult when the Premier League comes calling, guys. You don't really understand about living in some of the, or trying to manage in some of these other countries. It is ridiculous when they come calling. Levi Garcia has gone as well. He's been a fantastic servant for us as well. He's gone over to Crystal Palace for £10.75 million. So we've basically built up a bit of a war chest, guys, and we've been out and we've spent it, and we've spent it really, really well. Elliot Caprelli, a fan favourite again, has come in on a free transfer. He has left Bari. I can only assume that means they got relegated into the Serie C. Ooh, baby. He comes in on a free transfer. Jan Couto comes in on a free transfer as well. If you've not seen this guy, very good complete fullback or complete wingback from Manchester City. He came in on a free transfer. Charlie Chin, a new gen, comes in from Toronto. Looks like he has a little bit of promise about him. Relatively high potential ability. Has the base attributes there to be a fullback for us, or maybe even a wide centre-back, but he is only 5'7", so maybe we'll have to see what we can do with Charlie Chin. He comes in from Toronto. João Veloso dos Santos comes in from Portugal. Now, this guy is the real deal, I reckon. He is the real deal. The Wonder Kid filter, as I always mention, out in force. That Wonder Kid filter, you can find it in my Discord. Links to my Discord will be down in the description as well. Come on in. It's in there. We paid 20 million quid for this guy, a new gen coming out of Portugal. Hasn't really played in abundance. Only 18 games last season. Expect him to feature a lot this season after we paid 20 million quid for him. George Barrio Snovo comes in as well. Again, the new gen filter doing us wonders. From Colombia, he is the complete wingback on that left-hand side. A bit more well-rounded than the guy from Toronto. £2.5 million we paid to Junior FC over in Colombo for him. Andy Plemard comes in. He is a real player, ladies and gents. That's why he has a face. He came in from Basel over in the Swiss League for £7 million to be a new central defensive option for us. Obviously, when you're playing with 3 centre-backs, you kind of need a lot. Thiago Almada, this is the big spend. He came in from Leicester City. He'd already transferred from the MLS. He was over in Leicester playing for 11 million quid. We wanted him. We want him for our Champions League push. 30 million quid. He is now a player for AEK Athens in the Super League, ladies and gents. Hugo Bueno comes in as another player for us. Again, this is probably more a first team ready left back option. He comes in from Wolves for 15 million quid. Another player whose name I'm not going to butcher, a striker from Serbia. We've seen this before, guys. Strikers from Serbia. Who remembers Luka Kana? He is very, very good. So there we go. He looks fantastic as well. He came in for 1.7 million pounds. Thank you, Eastern Europe. We are a big fan. And Marquinhos comes in as well as another option to play either up front or in this central attacking midfield position. Obviously, we've lost a lot of our forwards here, guys, in this particular window. So if we quick pick without restriction, our new attack is looking something like this. So Thiago Almada comes in alongside Farias. That Argentine connection there behind the Serbian is a very interesting option. I'm happy with this team. It looks very, very nice. Hopefully we can kind of keep hold of players. I don't want to keep losing players in this. I don't want to keep pulling in players for dirt cheap or basically free and then losing them for fees. It is good to improve the club, but only to a point. Otherwise you keep churning through players. It's really frustrating. If we go over to the competitions tab, we just have the Super League and the Europa League on here. I assume the Cup will be featured a little bit later down the line. Maybe we enter a little bit later into it. I'm not really sure. But we've got the Europa League as well. We have to qualify for the Europa League. Obviously, where we didn't win the league last season. We're not in the Champions League this year. So let's have a good stab at the Europa League whilst we are in it. If we take a look at the odds for the Super League, obviously Olympiacos won it last season. And this season, Panathinaikos are the media favourites to win the league. Olympiacos are second. We are then third at 11-4. Let's see what we can do, guys. We've got the Champions League qualifying to come up. Hajduk Split, we've already knocked them out of the Champions League previously. Let's see what we can do in season number 4. That's a bit more like it. We are back on top with another league and cup double in season 4. 91 points. This is our highest points return so far. We basically had a little stumble around the start of the season, but after game week 4, we have been top of the league. To be fair, with 90 points, Olympiacos pushed us close, beating them by a point. Our goal difference, though, vastly superior. 84 goal difference for us, and I will talk about why in just a second. We were knocked out in the quarterfinals of the Europa League by Real Sociedad. As you can see, Thiago Almada getting 16 goals for us. He went off as well, 41 goals. 28 assists for this man. I used to love this guy a couple of FMs ago, and it would appear he's still not lost his touch. He's wanted by PSG and Real Madrid, so I'm expecting a tough one there. And then in the cup final, we win. We beat PAOK comfortably here. They didn't really have a chance. We get a hat-trick for this man, and I'm telling you, this Serbian has gone off this year. 53 goals for this man. It's got him his first Serbia appearance. He's got one cap at national level. Bearing in mind, you have to think he's fighting it out with players like Dusan Vlahovic to get caps for Serbia as a striker. I'd highly recommend going and checking this guy out because he has surpassed everything I would have expected this season. 16 goals and 18 appearances in the Europa League, smashed it. 29 in 29 in the league, smashed it. 8 in 7 in the cup, absolutely smashed it. Fair play to him and fair play to the boys because we've absolutely crushed this season. Let's talk about the Europa League super quick because I know you guys like to see the European runs. In the league phase then, we had Real Betis, Feyenoord, Fiorentina, a team at UBK that I've never heard of coming out of Iceland, Sheriff, Eintracht Frankfurt, Genk and AGF. They came out of Denmark? Yeah, they are there. Yeah, they're Danish. Which was a good run, good start, and a little bit of a ropey end. We then take on Fiorentina. We draw 1-1 in Italy, which is fine, and then we beat them back in Greece. We beat them 2-1. Obviously, the Serbian scores as well, and Jens Jonsson gets the goal that sees us go through. Then we take on Real Sociedad. We lose 3-1 away. We win 3-1 at home, and then we go out on penalties again, ladies and gentlemen. Almada, after a fantastic season, misses a penalty, as does Jan Kuto, and Kubo is the guy who misses the penalty for Real Sociedad. Just out of curiosity, who went on to win it? Newcastle United, and it's just dominated by English teams. The Europa League, that's really sad. That's really sad. We had the top 2 goal scorers in the competition. It's disappointing. It is disappointing. As I say though, guys, a lot of our players are wanted for this next season. We've got some debt now though. Net debt is back, probably because we spent an absolute truckload last season. We've also got £15.6 million of transfer budget to spend, and quite a lot in terms of wage budget as well. That is almost a 300k a week improvement in terms of our wage budget. So let's go and see what we can do for this 5th and final season at AEK Athens. So guys, before we get into this 5th and final season, this is the part of the video where I always ask if you are still watching this rebuild to comment something down below to let me know that you are still here right now. And there's only one thing on my mind when we're talking about football in Greece, and unfortunately it's not club football. I would like you to comment down below Euro 2004. They shocked the world. That's what I want to see you guys comment down below. Euro 2004 to celebrate that monumental achievement for the Greece national team. Diving into season number 5, this transfers page looks relatively empty, and I'm classing that as a W because we've managed to keep hold of all of our key players. We've added to them a little bit with a couple players here. Big Daniel comes in, another new gen, 6 foot Austrian youth international. He comes in from Rapid Vienna. He looks very good physically, 20 determination, driven personality. You can see the sorts of youngsters that we look for here. He's valued at we bought him for 5.25 million, and he's valued at around that, but he does have that 5-star potential ability, guys, so we're going to look and push him to see how much he can improve as well. And we've brought in a guy called Muck. Now this guy is definitely good enough to play. He's probably going to play here as a complete wingback. New gen from Nuremberg. He looks very good as well. 13 million quid for him. Again, we go new gen heavy in some of these rebuilds, and he is fantastic from a physical perspective and the fact that he's 6 foot. Capped by Germany at under 21 level as well. Bearing in mind he's he's only 18, is absolutely brilliant. So if we go into the tactic and quick pick without restriction, our best 11, this is how we are looking, guys. So this is the team, and I'm hoping this triangle of players, this trio up top, can go off again this year. Sharon Dora's finally made his way into the team as well as our lead roaming playmaker, and we are ready to push on for this 5th and final season. The defensive relationships are all there. These 3 green links are fantastic. The green links between these boys also fantastic. Let's talk competitions, ladies and gents, because we are back in the Champions League for our 5th and final season. We enter in the Champions playoff now, so it's win this one and go into the Champions League, or lose this one and I believe you go into the Europa League. The board in the Cup competition wants us to be competitive in the Champions League. They want us to reach the semi-finals of the Cup, hoping that we can win it for a 3rd time in 5 seasons, and they want us to win the Super League again. Obviously that would make it 4 wins in 5 seasons. If we have a look at our season preview, we are now finally the favourites. We are the media darlings. We are the favourites to win the title in season number 5. Let's get through it. Let's get through season number 5 and see if we can finish this rebuild off with an absolute bang. So, season 5 did finish with a bit of a flourish. We managed to get our highest points return ever in the Super League. We managed 95 points. We kind of cakewalked the league here. We only had 1 loss throughout the entire season, which is absolutely brilliant to see. Go on, show me who it was. Just make it easier for me. Why can't you just show me who it was? There we go. We lost to OFI in the Super League. We lost 3-2 to them in a game which I can only assume we kind of didn't really deserve to lose. But that was our 1 loss in the league all season. We managed to get ourselves top comfortably to win our 4th league title in 5 seasons. In terms of the cup as well, we added that one, another domestic double, 3 cups here in the 5 seasons. We beat Panathinaikos 1-0 in that final, getting the goal just a few minutes after Emil Bonyan gets himself sent off, just a couple minutes after that. But the whole team played really, really well. Really happy with how the boys have played. And the Champions League. The Champions League. We did get through into the Champions League, and I think the quarter-final appearance was our best ever and would be our best ever. We beat Tel Aviv to get through into the Champions League proper, where we had Dortmund, who we beat, Cologne, who we drew against, lost to AC Milan, lost to Liverpool, drew with Bruges, lost to Bodo Glimt, lost to Arsenal, lost to PSG. We went out disappointingly in that league phase. We finished down here in 30th, as you can see us there with 5 points. You needed 8 to get into the playoffs. But to be honest, some of the teams that we've played, Arsenal, PSG, Liverpool, Milan, Dortmund, I think it's a, dare I say, end of the stick. I think we could have had much better results, or much better teams that we could have played in the Champions League. Ultimately disappointing, but this team from AEK are absolute monsters now. If you wanted to carry this on, you can do. It's almost 300k a week in wage budget, which if you fancied altering that, you get about £21 million to spend on players, and this team, I'm telling you boys, is absolutely stacked. If this is the best 11, you can see the relationships, the lines, the players, it all looks fantastic here. Thiago Almada is wanted, just as an FYI, about Arsenal and Southampton. Our striker, the Serbian, wants himself a new contract, which he probably would get. If you did want to carry on this rebuild, guys, I post all the saves from all my rebuilds in my Discord. Please do go and check that out. Links to that will be in the description. And if you do like the rebuild content, guys, check out this playlist here. It's all the rebuilds that we've done on FM23.